So in this final lesson, we're just going to look at how to put all of Chapter 8 together. So when you're analyzing what's called bivariate data, bi simply means two variables, the first step is always create a scatter plot. Then describe the scatter plot by finding the correlation and stating the direction, form, and strength. Those were things from Chapter 7. Then find your linear model using the graphing calculator. Use the calculator. That was the beginning of Chapter 8. Create and check the residual plot. Again, you're allowed to use the calculator for this again. That was the second part of Chapter 8. And comment on R squared. Tell me that percentage. Tell me if you think the model is going to be good at making predictions. Then make your predictions and comment on whether it's interpolation, which means that we are confident, or extrapolation, which means we are not confident. And so all we're going to do is we're going to look at one example from beginning to end, kind of putting everything together. So researchers hoping to find ways to make good estimates for percent of body fat immersed 20 male subjects, then measured their waists and recorded their weights. So we have the data in weight and body fat for 20 people. We have to create a scatter plot to predict body fat from weight. So because we are predicting the body fat, that means that body fat is Y. So I'm going to go ahead and put body fat here with a little percentage. And that means that weight is down here in pounds. So the first thing we have to do, as A says, is create your scatter plot. So if we look through all of our weights, again, we're looking for that lowest and the highest. So if you look through all your weights, I'm seeing a high of 246 and a low of 146. So 246 minus 146 is 100. Divide that by 9 and you get 11.1. Well, I don't personally want to count by 11.1 or even 12, so I'm going to go ahead and count my x-axis by 15s. So how low do I need to start? It looks like I need to start with at least 146, so I'm just going to start at 140 because I think that'll be easier to count by. And I'm counting by 15, so 155, then we're at 170, then we're at 185. This pen sucks at making 8s. 185, then we're at 200, then we're at 215, then we're at 230, then 245, and we got to go one more, so we got to go up to 260. Okay, so let's look at the body fat percentages. I'm seeing a low of 6 twice, and I'm seeing a high of, looks like 38. So 38 minus 6 is 32, and 32 divided by 9 is 3.5. So I'm going to go ahead and count by 5s just to make life easy. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, we got to go up to 40. Okay, so now I got to plot all of these little data points. So 175, I am at 6, so right about there. 181, I am at 21, so somewhere right around there. At 200, I am at 15. At 159, I am at 6. At 196, I am at 22. Let's make that dot again. That dot kind of sucked. There we go. That looks better. At 192, we are at 31. At 205, we are at 32. At 173, we are at 21. At 187, we're at 25. At 188, we are at 30. At 188, we are also way down at 10. At 240, we are at 20. At 175, we are at 22. At 168, we're at 9. At 246, we are at 38. At 160, we're at 10. At 215, we are at 27. At 159, we are at 12. At 146, we're at 10. And finally, at 219, we are at 28. All right, so there is our scatter plot. So now we have to describe the association, including correlation. So you need to go in your calculators, press Stat, go to your L1 and L2, put your weights in L1, put your body fat in L2. Once you've finished that, press Stat, Calc, and Option 8. And if you need to pause the video to do all of that, make sure you do all of that. So now that you've done all of your work to find everything, I have that your correlation is 0.696, which rounds up to 0.70. And so what does that mean for us? Well, it definitely means that our graph is positive. It means that our graph is linear. And it means that our graph is moderate, because 0.7 was in that moderate range. Okay, let's continue. So you have all the stuff in the calculator already. It says find a linear model, so you don't even need to redo anything. You just need to write down what you see on your screen. And so I have y hat equals, my a value was negative 27.38 plus, it rounds up to 0.25x. So that's my model. And do you think a linear model is appropriate? Use a residual plot. So we've already got, we're going through the steps. We found our line of best fit. This is where we go second y equals, and we hit enter, and we turn it on. And it should already say residual from the last lesson. And so we go zoom 9, and I get some dots kind of down here. Then I get some dots up here. And then I have a few here in the middle, and I have one over here, and I have one down here. So I have a whole bunch of dots all over the place. And so there is no pattern. So a linear model is appropriate. And so let's go to that last slide. And so this one asks us to calculate r squared. We don't need to calculate it. We just need to go back to the screen where it was at. So you'll have to go Stat, Calc, Option 8 again, because that's the only way you'll get back to that screen. And so I get my pen stopped working. Hang on, guys. Okay, let's try this again. So I get that r squared is equal to 0.49, which is 49%. Okay, my pen needs to be charged. There we go. So what does that mean? It means that 49% of the varia, wow. Try this one more time. 49% of the variability in body fat is accounted for by weight. Wow, my pen needs to be charged. So predict the body fat of a person who weighs 195. So our model was y hat equals negative 27.38 plus 0.25. Now we're going to do times 195. And if you plug that in the calculator, you should get 21.4%. And is that reliable? In other words, was 195 within our range of data? Our range went from 146 to 246. So our reliability, it is a good prediction because it is in our range. And then one other prediction question. So we have another y hat equals negative 27.38 plus 0.25 times 280 this time. Plug all that in the calculator, and I get 42.6%. But 280 is outside of our range. So we're going to assume that it is not reliable because 280 is not in our range. And that's the end of chapter 8. So when you get to class, your questions in class are going to be very similar to going through this whole process.